G'day, hope everyone's doing well as always. Now, Gen 6 was one of my favourite games growing up as a child, even if it was memed for being very easy. So I decided why not try a hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokémon X with grass types only. The gist of the rules for a hardcore Nuzlocke are that a Pokémon that faints cannot be used again, I can only catch the first grass type Pokémon in each area, I cannot use items during battle but I can use held items, I must play on a set battle style, and the level restriction of our Pokemon is the next gym leader's best Pokemon, or the final Elite Four member's ace. In Pokemon X, there are 19 grass types in total, but of these 19, Trevenant and Gourgeist can only be obtained by trading. Bellossom and Vileplume are from the same family, so that only one can be used there, and we just used Roserade last run, so we won't use it again. That leaves us with 15 grass types to use, and I think that'll be plenty. There will be challenges though, with Gym Leader Wulfric and Elite Four Malva, but I think there are some counters that are available in Pokemon X, like Ludicolo for the fire weakness, and Ferrothorn for the ice weakness. With that being said, if you guys enjoyed, make sure to subscribe for more future content, and let's get going. To start off, we pick up Chespin and named him Hedge. We then had a really quick battle against Shiner and headed for Santaloon Forest, where we caught a Pansage and named him Monkey. Moving on to Route 3, we caught God for HMs, and Burmy, who we named Protect because that's all it uses, and it'll mostly just be chilling in the back and won't see much action. We're already at our first gym, and it's Viola, the bug type gym, but we took care of her with Rollout, and to be honest, this was probably the easiest gym battle I've ever faced in my life.
Why you bully me?
Next, we headed over to Route 4, and after a bit of training, Hedge evolves into a Quilladin. We then had a quick battle against Professor Sycamore and picked up a Bulbasaur, who we named Bubba. Continuing on our journey to Route 5, we can get another encounter, Skiddo. We caught it and named it Flight You Go. After a bit of further training, Bubba also evolves into an Ivysaur. But before we can move on, we need to wake up Big Boy Snorlax. So to do that, we headed over to the Parfum Palace to pick up the Pokeflute. And at the palace, we had some really lovey-dovey time with sweet little Shiner, watching the fireworks. That wasn't even meant for us, but for this rich guy's Furfrou. Anyway, before heading back to Snorlax, we picked up an Oddish on Route 6 and named it Polish, and proceeded back to Route 7, where we woke up Snorlax, caught him, and named him Snoggy Boy, because we're obviously playing with the Snorlax claws. On the same route, we have another encounter. This time it's Hoppip, who we named Little Cotton, the Rap God. We then headed off for Route 8, and here we pick up a Leaf Stone, and we could evolve Monkey right away, but I decided to hold off until he learns Acrobatics at level 31. Over at the Glittering Cave, we took care of some Team Flare Grunts, picked up a Jaw Fossil from a scientist, and caught a Ferroseed, who we named Seed King, and replaced Protect with it, because, well, you guys connect the dots. We're finally at the second gym, and you may think that a rock gym would be a pretty easy sweep. It's anything but. With Grand Zamora having the ability Refrigerate, which turns normal type moves into ice, this makes it a really dangerous Pokemon. And with Thunder Wave, it'll be even more problematic if it can land it and spam Ice Takedown. This isn't the only worry though, with Grant's second Pokemon being Tyrant, a part Dragon type, making Grass types only normally effective on it, and a one-shot with any Grass move is probably out of the equation. Tyrant also has the ability Strong Jaw, which boosts the power of biting moves, making Bite a dangerous proposition. Before we battle Grant though, Little Cotton evolves into Little Skiploom during one of our battles with the gym trainers. On to Grant now, and we go with the Vine Whip on the first turn, which unfortunately did not one hit, as Amora lands a Thunder Wave. On the next turn, Amora hits a massive Ice-type takedown, but Hedge holds on with 15 HP and finishes off Amora with another Vine Whip. Out next is Grant's Tyrant, so I decide to switch into Bubba, as Bite does just under half. We then go for a Leech Seed on the next turn, as Rock Tomb nearly takes out Bubba. Then we switch into Flight Your Goat, and just like before, Bite barely misses the halfway mark. We spend the next turn healing with Synthesis as another Rock Tomb connects. We then opted for a Growth on the next turn, but Bite flinches us instead. So we were forced to switch into Monkey, as Bite sends him down to yellow, but Leech Seed gave me some of the courage to go for a Seed Bomb, which doesn't KO, but Tyrant misses a Rock Tomb and Leech Seed takes it out. Man, that was a really tight call, and to be honest, it really could have gone either way, but luckily for us, we earn our second badge and still have no casualties. Heading north to Geosenge Town, we can get another encounter on Route 10 in Eevee, who we caught and named Alola, even though we're not in Alola.
Nice.
Anyway, once we reach Geosenge, we meet Karina, whose Lucario seemed to take a liking to us. But unfortunately, as much as I like you, we can't bring you along on this journey. We then proceeded to take out both of Karina's Lucario with a little goat. Next, we're headed to Glittering Cave, and here I decided to do a bit of training with Monkey, and he hits level 31 to finally learn acrobatics. Afterwards, we evolved Monkey into his final form, Simisage. I also taught Monkey Hone Claws before heading towards the Tower of Mastery, and here Serena challenges us to a battle for the Mega Stone. But after a couple of setups of Hone Claws, Monkey swept through her whole team, and we got ourselves the Mega Stone, which we'll probably never use.
NANI?!
Next we have Karina again. Her Mienfoo should be an easy one-shot with acrobatics, and a similar story should follow with Machoke. But the real problem here, as you can probably already tell, is going to be Hawlucha. Its signature move of Flying Press is really nasty, because of its typing. Now, the typing of this move is pretty weird. It's a combination of fighting and fighting. Make sense of that if you can, but basically it's super effective on everyone except Bubba. Before we get into the battle, Bubba evolved whilst fighting the gym trainers. So Karina starts out with her Mienfoo, but we take it out with an acrobatics. She then sends in her problematic Hawlucha, who instantly goes for a Flying Press and leaves Monkey with only 3 HP as he lands an acrobatics which doesn't KO, but does deal a lot of damage. Karina then heals up again as we land another acrobatics, but I didn't want to risk switching into anyone else because it could probably mean a death sentence. So I had to make the hard decision to sack Monkey. We then sent out Bubba and finish off Hawlucha with a double edge, only to realise that we may have been able to save Monkey if we had sent in Bubba, because Flying Press does just less than half. Last out is Karina's Machoke, but it was really just a back and forth grind as we set up Leech Seed and Poison Powder, as Rock Tomb didn't do all that much. We were eventually able to take it out with Stall though and earn ourselves the 3rd gym badge. After the battle we have 2 evolutions, with Float Your Goat evolving into a Go-Goat, nice name, and Little Skiploom gaining the ultimate drip as it evolves into Little Jumpluff. Afterwards, we let Monkey rest in Pokey Heaven, and picked up Alola to continue our journey. Next we ascended the Tower of Mastery. Finally! Once at the top, we received the Mega Ring and used Mega Lucario to beat Mega Lucario. After the battle, one of the Lucarios really wanted to join our party, and I really felt the bond between us, so I let him join, and dropped him off at the PC box. Now off to Route 12, and here we catch an Execute and named him Exam, because who doesn't like exams? We then make our way to Coumarine City, and once there, we are challenged by Serena again. To start the battle, I decided to use Little Cotton, and we were able to set up Stun Spore and Leech Seed. We then switched into Float Your Goat and are able to set up Growths as the Psalming Voice really did nothing. We then proceeded to sweep through the rest of her team. Next up is Gym Leader Ramos, but I don't think he'll be one after this battle, because we completely destroyed him. It's probably not even a stretch to say he's worse than Viola, and with that we have our 4th badge of this run. We're now at the Kalos Power Plant to take care of Team Flare, and here our boy Hedge evolves into this absolute cutie. We then take care of the Team Flare grunts, taking control of the power plant and head to Lumio City for our next gym, but on the way we meet this absolute unit. More on him later. It's now time for the next gym, and Clement has a really strong and difficult team to beat with our current party, with Emolga being part flying and knowing Aerial Ace, and Magneton being part steel so it resists grass moves. We will probably have to stall out Emolga with Seed King and take out Magneton with Float Your Goat's Bulldoze, though it is worth noting that Magneton has 30, so it'll take at least 2 Bulldozers to do the trick. Heliolisk shouldn't be too much trouble with its measly base 52 physical defense, so we shouldn't be having too many problems there. So once the battle started, I began to regret starting out with Seed King, because an Aerial Ace does a ton, and Clement opts for a Volt Switch on the next turn, bringing out Magneton. So I decided to bring in Float Your Goat, as Thunderbolt does basically nothing. We then go for Growth on the next turn, as Mirror Shot takes us down to just over half. We then go back and forth with Potions and Bulldoze, but eventually manage to take out Magneton. Clement then sends Emolga back in and goes for an aerial ace as we use takedown, which brings Emolga to yellow, but float your goat down to just 2 HP with the recoil. So I decided to switch into Bubba, and aerial ace on the next turn does massive damage, but a double edge was enough to take care of Emolga. Last out is Clement's Heliolisk, so we switch into Hedge as Thunderbolt barely tickles. Then, with 2 seed bombs, we were able to take care of Heliolisk and earn ourselves the 5th badge of this Nuzlocke. Heading north to Laver City, we meet Serena on Route 14, and she challenges us to yet another battle. We start off with Little Cotton, and after a quick Stun Spore and Leech Seed, we send in Float Your Goat to set up some growths and take out her Meowth Stick with a Seed Bomb. Out next is Del Fox, and Float Your Goat survives a Mystical Fire to land a one-shot Bulldoze. Last is Serena's Absol, so I decided to switch into Hedge, and a couple of Seed Bombs were able to take it out. On the same route, we managed to find a Weeping Bell before Carnivine, so we caught it and named him Jingle Bells. I then decided to switch Alola into Exam and evolved it into Executor after it hit level 27 and learns Confusion. We also did a little extra training to get Seed King to evolve into a Ferrothorn. We then took our newly evolved Seed King and decimated Valerie's team, starting out with some curses and taking out more Mawile with Rollout. Mr. Mime and Sylveon then both went down to a single Gyro Ball, and that's another gym done. At the Pokeball factory, we took care of some Team Flare admins who were running amok, and headed to Route 15 to get our next and very important counter, Lombre. We caught Lombre, named a Geese, and switched her in for Exam. As we head towards the destination of our next gym, we stop by Dendermill Town to teach Hedge Hammerarm at the Move Relearner in exchange for a Heart Scale. We then made our way through the Frost Cavern to take care of some more Team Flare admins before heading to Route 17 to get our next encounter, Snova, who we caught and named Snozy. Before we take on Serena at Anistar City though, I made sure to get a Water Stone and evolve our little geese into a big geese. The battle against Serena went pretty smoothly. We started out the same as always by paralysing and leech seeding her Meowth Stick, then sent out Float Your Goat to set up some growths to boost our attack, and after that, we simply swept through the remaining of her team with Bulldoze and Horn Leech. Olympia is the next gym leader we need to face, and the game plan here will probably be to start off with Seed King, set up a couple of curses to dramatically drop our speed to the point where we can sweep her team. Though the thing to note here is that Slowbro is part water, so it resists Gyro Ball, but it will probably mean little because our whole team is made up of grass types. So we start off the battle with the Gyro Ball to gauge its damage, and it did nothing as a result of Olympia going for Reflect. I then set up a curse on the next turn as Air Slash does 30 damage. We then go for a Gyro Ball again on the next turn, but leave Sigilif in the red. Olympia then goes for a potion as another Gyro Ball does around 3/4, and with another hit on the next turn, we force Olympia into her Meowth Stick. But she goes for a Calm Mind instead, allowing us to one hit with the Gyro Ball. Last out is Slowbro, so I decided to switch into Float Your Goat, and the Horn Leech nearly one hits as we were put to sleep. Olympia then heals up, but we literally wake up on the next turn, get a high roll on the Horn Leech, and one-shot Slowbro to earn our 7th badge of this Nuzlocke. Afterwards, we find out that Lysander wants to wipe the world clean with this super crazy new ultimate mega insane powerful out of this world weapon that he dug up from who knows where. So naturally we have to go stop Lysander since we're the good guys. Now we head back to Lumio City and go into Team Flare's base to battle Lysander. We take out Lysander's Mienfoo with a single acrobatics, and out next is Pyroar. We switch into Geese as a massive Fire Blast connects. Pyroar then misses the next Fire Blast, allowing us to set up a Water Sport. So I decided to switch into Float Your Goat, and we trade Bulldoze and Hyper Voice, but we eventually managed to take out Pyroar. Lysander then sends out his Murkrow, so we decided to switch in for Seed King, as Aerial Ace does basically nothing. Foul Play though does do a big chunk of our health on the next turn as we set up Curse. It was a close call, but we survive another Foul Play to land a one-shot Gyro Ball. Last is Lysander's Gyarados, but a quick switch in the Hedge and a setup of Bulk Up is enough to one-shot Gyarados with a Seed Bomb. Lysander then goes on a rant and basically runs away.
You will never get this, you will never...
So after we finally caught up to that cheeky Lysander, we find out that the guy from before was actually the person who created the ultimate weapon that Lysander was going to use to wipe out the world, or to resurrect his Floette. But afterwards he used the weapon for destruction and Floette left him. Regardless, we had to stop this weapon from being used, and to do that, we had to battle another admin in Xerosich. Against his Crobat, we set up a couple of curses and eventually take it out with Gyro Ball with about half health. Out next is Malamar, and because of our extra defense, I leave in Seed King and he survives a superpower, but Power Whip doesn't even KO. So I decided to send in Lil Cotton and finish off Malamar with acrobatics. But Team Flare activated the weapon anyways. Figures out it was located in Geosench Town, so we head over quickly and have yet another battle against Lysander. But this battle panned out the exact same way as our previous battle, so there wasn't much to recap. After defeating Lysander, we then moved on and encountered the source of the power for the ultimate weapon, Xerneas. Caught it and named it Fish 2.0. Lysander then shows up telling us how he's going to take back Fish 2.0, but just what on earth is he wearing? Anyway, even with the new super suit, we still take him out the same way as we did the other 2 times. An acrobatics with Jump Off takes out Mian Xiao, Water Sport renders Pyro useless, Gyro Ball takes out Honchkrow, and Float Your Goat takes out what's a shrimp? Where's Gyarados? Well, anywho, with that we take care of Lysander for the 3rd time in a row, and thus brings an end to Team Flare. We're now off to Snowbell City for the final gym, but before that we are challenged by our friends. First is Shauna, and she sends out her Delcatty. We take it out with 2 acrobatics as it only managed to land a charm. Next out is Goodra, so I decided to switch into Seed King, who is immune to Sludge Wave. Goodra is then taken out with the next 2 Gyro Balls as Earthquake barely tickles Seed King. Last out is Greninja, and a Power Whip is enough for a one-shot. Our next battle is Tierno, and he sends out Talonflame first. We exchange acrobatics, but since we're faster, we take out Talonflame first. Tierno then sends out Crawdont as we switch into Hedge, and a Wood Hammer is enough for a one-shot on Crawdont, and Tierno sends out his final Pokemon Roserade. We switch into Seed King, and with 1 Gyro Ball, we take out Roserade. Last but not least is Trevor. We start off by switching into Float Your Goat and take out Raichu with a couple of Bulldozers. Trev then sends in his Aerodactyl and we switch into Seed King, as Trevor goes for a Skydrop. But it ended up doing pretty much nothing as we set up Curse. We then get hit with Supersonic on the next turn, but Seed King pushes through and finishes off Aerodactyl with a Gyro Ball. Last out is Florges, but with us being Steel and it being Fairy, I think you guys can tell how this battle finished, as 1 Gyro Ball is all that was needed. On to our last gym battle, and it's against Wulfric, the Ice-type gym. And as you can probably tell, this won't be an easy battle. I think the key here, strangely enough, won't just be Seed King, but Hedge as well. As Hedge is part fighting, it'll be a key factor in determining if we can win this battle or not. A Bulbasaur is relatively weak, so we should be able to take care of it pretty easily, and Cryogonal's physical defense is literally non-existent. The real problem here is Avalugg, with its unreal 184 base defense and Curse, it'll be a grind for sure. And I think that the best counter to Avalugg is probably our own Seed King, because we also possess Curse, and it'll just be a contest of who snaps first. So let's get into the battle. We start off the battle with Hedge and use Hammer Arm right off the bat, which does take out a Bulbasaur in one hit. Next, Wulfric sends out Cryogonal, and after we get hit by a massive Ice Beam which takes us all the way down to red, a Hammer Arm also takes out the frail Cryogonal. Last out is Wulfric's Avalugg, and let me tell you guys that this battle took ages. It was a comedy of curses as both sides spammed it, so neither side really had any sort of damage output. It was really a contest of some of the slowest Pokemon you'll ever see, and because of that, Gyro Ball had been rendered pretty much useless. We do get hit by a couple of avalanches along the way, but Power Whip was eventually enough to take out Avalugg and earn us the 8th badge. The last destination of this Nuzlocke is the Pokemon League, and as we make our way through the Victory Road, Serena once again challenges us to another battle. But I have to say, these rival battles are just getting easier, as we take her out pretty comfortably. But it wasn't a complete waste of time, as Serena gave us a really important item for the upcoming battles. That's right, it's Max Revives! So before we take on the Pokemon League, I did a couple of things beforehand. First, I decided to give Hedge the Rocky Helmet. I also taught Geese Ice Beam and Rain Dance, and also gave her the Damp Rock to extend the duration of Rain Dance. I'm sure you guys know who this setup is for. Moving along, I gave Seed King some leftovers so he can set up Curse while getting healed every turn. And finally, we gave Float Your Goat a Miracle Seed to raise the power of his Grass-type moves. Anyway, with that all said, let's get on to the main event. First up is Elite Four Wickstrom, and I think that the go for this battle will probably have to be Seed King once again, setting up Curse on Klefki, and seeing how far that can take us. Aegis Slash and Scizor do pose big problems though, with the former knowing Sacred Sword, and the latter being a bug type, so if Seed King doesn't take out Scizor, we could be in some trouble. So the battle starts off pretty mundane as we set up Curse, but Klefki uses Torment, so we had to alternate between using Power Whip and Curse. But after we managed to set up 3, we managed to take out Klefki with a single Power Whip. Aegislash is next, and it switches into its attacking stance and hits a Sacred Sword for massive damage. But since it has like 2 base defense now, a single Power Whip was enough to finish it off. Probopass is a waste of time because we were stuck in a cycle of putting it down to 1 HP due to Sturdy and Wickstrom healing. But it worked out as we were able to heal a fair chunk of HP during that cycle and eventually take out Probopass. Last is Scizor, and he hits a critical Night Slash for like 40 damage. As we finish the battle off with Gyro Ball, and that's the first Elite Four done. Next up is Seabold, and I'm sure everyone can guess how this battle went. Just a couple of quick growths and
Voila.
we swept through the whole of his team without a sweat. One shot after one shot. The poor bloke never stood a chance. Next up is Dragon type Specialist Drasna, but there wasn't much to recap here. We managed to set up a Rain Dance with Geese to lessen the power of Hinoivan's Flamethrower, then switched into Seed King to set up a whole bunch of curses, whilst Dragalge could only sit and watch. We then one-shot Dragalge with Gyro Ball, and Noivan's Flamethrower only leaves Seed King in yellow as Gyro Ball one-shots. Out next is Druddigon, but instead of going for revenge, it goes for Dragon Tail, a decreased priority move, which allows us to one-shot it as well. Last is Altaria, but we play the game of attack and restores with Drasna. But everyone knows we always win this type of game. So we eventually take out Drasna's Altaria, and that leaves only one Elite Four member remaining. Now we're up to the dreaded Malva, and her team's going to be tough. And by team, I mean Talonflame only. With its dual typing of fire and flying, along with 126 base speed, we won't be able to beat it using our current setup at the moment. So I did a little bit of thinking, and came up with a plan. The plan is to give Seed King the Rocky Helmet instead of the leftovers, in hopes that Talonflame will damage itself in recoil with its moves, but also get hit by our Rock Helmet and Seed King's Iron Barbs. With this, if we can land one hit on it, hopefully it'll be enough to take out Talonflame. It's a risk, but at this stage we sort of have to take it. So we start off the battle with Geese and set up an extended Rain Dance after being hit for half health by Pyroar's Flamethrower. Noble Roar then lowers our attack on the next turn, but it mattered little as Surf took it out anyways. Next out is Talonflame, so we switched into Seed King, and by using Brave Bird, Talonflame did more damage to it than us. Flare Blitz on the next turn nearly takes us out, but thanks to Rain Dance, Seed King survives it and takes out the dangerous Talonflame with Gyro Ball. Malva then sends out Chandelure, so we switch back into Geese. Flamethrower and Shadow Ball takes Geese down to red, but with the rain, Surf one-shots, and last out is Malva's Torkoal. But it never stood a chance, as a rain boosted Surf took it out, and with that, we've beaten the Elite Four with no casualties. Now it's time to battle the hardest champion of all the Pokemon games. Settle down guys, I'm only kidding. Taking a look at Diantha's team though, it's not imposing or intimidating as most other champions. Her team does have its strong points though, with Hawlucha and Gardevoir. Aside from that though, we should be able to take out most of her team with Geese, with our coverage of moves paired with Rain Dance. Speaking of Gardevoir, it's a Mega, so it's always a huge threat. With moves like Stab, Moonblast and Psychic to complement the ridiculous 165 base special attack and 100 speed, this battle may not seem as easy as it first appeared. Anyway, with that being said, let's get on to the battle against Diantha. So we start off the battle with Seed King as Diantha sends in Hawlucha. She then sets up a sword stance as a single Gyro Ball isn't enough for the KO. Diantha then uses a potion on the next turn as we go for Curse, but then she gets greedy and goes for another sword stance. This time though, Gyro Ball is strong enough to one-shot. And next out is Goodra, whose Fire Blast takes us down to red and burns as Gyro Ball does about 3/4. On the next turn though, I decided to play really safe and did something I probably shouldn't have, and that was to sacrifice Seed King. We then sent out Geese next to set up a Rain Dance as Dragon Pulse does about 1/3. Ice Beam on the next turn is able to take out Goodra, and Diantha sends in her Tyrantrum, whom we one-shot with Surf. Next is Diantha's other fossil Pokemon Aurorus, but Geese comes through with the goods once again and takes it out. Diantha then sends in Gourgeist, and I decide to use Surf. I know, but it was like 4 in the morning, I wasn't really thinking. Anyway, Gourgeist turns us into a Ghost type with Trick or Treat, as another Surf barely doesn't KO. A Phantom Force then does massive damage because we're now part Ghost, and Diantha heals up on the next turn, and another Surf brings Gourgeist down to just over half. Whilst being half asleep, I finally realised that I wasn't using Ice Beam, so when I finally did, we took out Gourgeist pretty easily. Who would have thought? Last out is Gardevoir, and as she Mega Evolves, I had to let our girl Geese go because switching out would be far too dangerous at this stage. We then sent out Little Cotton, and Acrobatics does more than half as she manages to tank a Moonblast and take out Gardevoir on the next turn with another Acrobatics. Well, with that, we're now champions of Kalos. Now you guys are probably expecting a tribute to the Fallen, right? Well, not this time, because with the power of AZ's super crazy ultimate weapon, we managed to revive everyone and take down AZ himself in the post-game with our newly revived Geese. But we do get a touching moment between AZ and his Floetto, which is pretty sweet, and now nothing stands in between us and world domination. Anyways guys, that'll do it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and this Nuzlocke was a lot easier than our previous two, but that's to be expected. But nevertheless, I still had fun playing the game again and making this video for you guys. So yeah, once again, hope you guys enjoyed, and have a good one. Cheers.